now, to keep going with our third presentation, I would like to invite here on our virtual stage, Rose Allen from 11 Experience, a collection of remote properties that include our beloved member and charming Rio Palena Lodge. Rose, the microphone is yours. You can share your screen and have your time to share your experience with us.
Okay, great. Before I start sharing my screen, I'll just introduce myself and saying I'm Rose. I'm based in Brooklyn, in New York. If anyone's ever in the area, please shoot me an email. I'd love to get together and show you around. I am the Director of Sales at 11 Experience, and I have been in the role now about 8 months. So I feel still new, but at the same time also like I've been there a very long time. So I'm really excited to tell you guys a bit more about 11. Before I start, I also want to introduce Chris, who you may be able to see on your screen. I know there's a lot of people here, but Chris is from Hidden Doorways, and she is my partner, and we are working to get the word out to the Latin American market, or to, you know, travel planners and DMCs who focus on Latin America about not only Rio Palena, but actually all of our lodges across the world, because we have a lot of them. So you're going to learn a little bit more about that.
Good morning.
Thanks, Chris. So we are your go-tos for anything to do with 11. Please feel free to reach out. So now I will share my, so I am ready to go now. Okay, so 11 Experience. What's really unique about 11 is that we are not your typical hotel brand. We actually call ourselves an adventure travel company. And I find, especially as I meet more and more people and tell them about what I do and what 11 is, that it can be a very hard concept to describe. And we are really unique in what we do. So Marcelo, if you can go to the next slide, I want to explain that in our simplest form, what we do is we provide luxury lodging with outdoor excursions in remote destinations for which a customized itinerary is developed for every single trip. So you can go to the next slide now, Marcelo. And so that first sentence there is, I'd say we're an adventure travel company, but the key elements here are the luxury lodging, the outdoor excursions, the remote destinations, and customized itineraries. And what we're really trying to do is set up entirely new standard for experiential travel. We are setting up and facilitating really unprecedented adventures. Authentic connections are extremely important to us, and our guides, who are typically local and very down to earth and cool and easy to talk to and fun, you know, you typically leave a trip feeling like your guide is your new best friend and you're gonna be in touch with them forever. This is really what makes 11 special. But I think in order to really truly understand 11, you need to understand the story behind 11 and how we came about and why we are providing everything here that I've just gone through. So on the next slide, you'll see a photo, well, actually a map of all of our lodges across the world. I'm going to come back to this eventually, and you'll learn about each one, just kind of high level. But on the next slide, you'll see a photo of our owner and his wife, Blake. And so this is our owner on the left. His name is Chad Pike, and he's a really special, unique person. And so he's on the left, obviously his wife, Blake, is on the right. And they are kind of normal people. Chad was born in Ohio in the US, and he met his wife, Blake, at university. They went to school at UNC in North Carolina. And Chad's passions have always been, he's worked in finance for many years. He just recently retired and has really become more and more involved in 11 and all that we're doing. But his passions are finance, where he worked for years. Real estate is a big one, and purchasing real estate and investing in real estate. He's always been a big traveler. He has a family of 4 kids, and they love traveling as a family. And then 2 of his all-time favorite things to do are to fish, what we at 11 often call angling, which basically just means any type of fishing where you use a pole, and skiing. And so he had this kind of, he has all of these passions, and he had this experience at some point in kind of like the early 2000s where he went to a Scottish estate. Some of you may know it's called Skibo Castle, and he went and stayed there with friends for a fishing trip. And while he was there, he was so impressed with how the property ran. Skibo Castle is a beautiful old castle. I don't know how many rooms exactly it has, but you know, it's not really big and it's not really small, and it has a beautiful estate and all kinds of cool things to do. Asked the owner who he was there as a guest of, you know, what's your secret to being able to maintain a big estate like this? And the owner said, the key is investing in it. You know, it can't just sit here all year waiting for you and your family to come once or twice a year. You really need to invest in it. And this just like kind of clicked for him. And he said, you know what? I love these experiences so much. I love traveling with my family to these remote places, to ski, to fish, to mountain bike, to hike. And I want to not only start making these investments because he is a finance guy at heart, but he wanted to be able to share those experiences with other families like him. So in 2008, when you know the real estate market crashed, he began his kind of search for properties to purchase. And the key thing here that I find so interesting as I learn more and more about this is that whenever he was looking to buy a new property, he was thinking about it friend to so many outdoorsy, fun people. And he was thinking about it as, is this a place that I would want to bring my friends and family and really have an incredible adventure or to make amazing memories for the future? And so on the next slide, so when a 1,000-acre ski resort in Crested Butte, Colorado, open or became available to purchase, he kind of like snapped it up and was like, this is the perfect opportunity for me. So if you look closely, you'll see in about a little bit lower than the center of the photo is what we call a snowcat, which is kind of like a big, huge machine that grooms the slopes, except what we've done now is we've outfitted them to be kind of like a limo. So, you know, the snowcat will pick you up, you get in with all of your friends and all your ski gear, and it takes you up to the top of the mountain. So anyway, his very first investment was, I want to purchase this ski resort, and he also needed to have a property to go along with it. So he purchased a Victorian, old historic to found what we now call 11 Experience and also headquarter the brand in Crested Butte where it's still headquartered. So if you go to the next slide, you'll see this is what now, what became, you know, shortly thereafter, Scarp Ridge Lodge. So in 2011, we opened our first ever lodge, Scarp Ridge Lodge, where the winter experience is such that you stay in this lodge, it's buyout only, and every morning that snowcat that you saw really little in that picture picks you up, everybody loads in, and it drives you, you know, 15 minutes away to the top of the mountain for a day of private skiing on a beautiful mountain. And so this was Chad's first ever try at making this work. And so he not only was using it for his family and his friends, but he opened it to be, you know, marketed and sold like a hotel. And so the other kind of important piece of this is that Chad's wife, Blake, is a really talented interior designer. And she has her own design firm called Number 12 Interiors, which you can probably pick up. It's 11 Experience and Number 12. And so they took charge of the decor. And so this was a historic building. They completely renovated it while maintaining all of the, you know, historic elements. And what she does is she really brings her kind of special touch to make everything feel both sumptuous, very like luxurious and comfortable, but also cozy. And what she always makes sure to do is bring in locally sourced items so that you feel that local aesthetic. So out in Colorado, it might be, you know, like a buffalo head on the wall. You know, sometimes they're not real animal heads, but you know, it's giving the vibe of a true out west lodge. You really know where you are when you're there. And you know, on top of that, they've also went above and beyond to make sure that each of the properties, wherever possible, has a pool, a hot tub, a sauna, a gym, and most often suites with ensuite bathrooms. So not too long after opening Scarpridge Lodge, they decided to open a new property, which if you head to the next slide, I think I have another picture of Scarpridge Lodge in there. So it gives you an idea of one of the rooms in Scarpridge Lodge. You can get a feel for her design style. And then there's a closer up picture of what we call the Snowcat. And so on the next slide is their next property, which is called Chalet Pellerin and is in a little beautiful French village, really surrounded by farmers. There's very few commercial buildings in the village itself.
Rose, sorry to interrupt you, but just remind you have 5 more minutes, okay?
Oh boy, okay, thank you. Okay, so Chalet Pellerin, which again is really was his family's home that they decided to open up for other people to be able to stay and experience it. And so it has 5 suites, an indoor pool, a large outdoor terrace. On the next slide, you'll see their third, sorry, I keep forgetting I put in additional photos. So this gives you a feel for how beautiful the chalet is. And on the next slide, you'll see their next investment was Sopra's house. And so this is a 4-bedroom house across the street from Scarpridge Lodge. They found that they were always bringing so many friends, they needed more rooms for them to stay in. And so it looks quite small in this photo, but it's a beautiful 4-bedroom home with a private saloon in the back, which you'll see. That's the saloon in the bottom right, so that's a fun spot. The next property they opened is Taylor River Lodge, and this is in Almont, Colorado, which is about a 30-minute drive outside of Crested Butte, and it is on the Taylor River. It has 2 kind of larger 3-bedroom cabins and then 6 smaller cabins best for couples. This is the main lodge itself, and there's also a stunning, what we call bathhouse with a pool and a sauna and a steam room. And it's a really, really lovely kind of like summer camp, no matter what age you are. Next, they opened Bahama House on Harbor Island in the Bahamas. And this is a really unique property because it's not on the beach. It gives you more of a local feel. You're in the kind of the town and surrounded by locals, and it's only a 5-minute golf cart ride to the beach. So it's not like it's a far way to go, but this is a really special property with 11 rooms. And then probably most of you, or I wouldn't be surprised if many of you have heard of the next lodge called Deplar Farm. This is a converted sheep farm in northern Iceland. There's only 13 suites. It's really famous for its state-of-the-art spa. This you can see here is the indoor-outdoor pool bar. There's a sauna, a steam room, indoor and outdoor hot tubs. That little hill in the middle of the photo is actually a underground sauna. And so it's a really incredible property with so many activities to offer. On the next slide is Chalet Ibu, which is the other property they opened across the street from Chalet Pellerin in France. The next slide is Cedar Lodge, and it is the property we have in New Zealand. Yep. And then last, but certainly not least, I wanted to tell you a little bit more about Rio Palena Lodge. So Rio Palena is a property that they prospected for this land for years. They would not settle on a location. They wanted it to be a great location for both skiing, and so we do heli skiing, or fishing. And so they finally found this piece of land. It's 35 acres. It's right on the Rio Palena. We opened in 2019 for our first ever season. And this is truly, you know, one of the key points I wanted to make is that all of these properties feel like homes because they are a home. So they do not feel like hotels. Some a little more than others. Bahama House feels a little bit more like a hotel. Rio Palena Lodge feels nothing like a hotel. It is a 7-bedroom home. We encourage our guests to make themselves right at home, whether that means walking barefoot around the lodge or cozying up with their book by the fire. Just high level, it's 7 suites with private bathrooms. It can hold up to 14 guests. Beautiful wood burning fireplace in the grand room with views of the Andes. Incredible activities. Our key kind of selling point here is that most activities are heli assisted. So, and that's included in the rates. So whether you're heli skiing during the heli ski season or you're heli fishing or heli hiking, it just kind of means that every single thing you do is elevated that much further because you are truly getting off the beaten path to access, Roberto, I'm finishing, to access land that you wouldn't be able to access otherwise. So I hope that this has helped you better understand kind of where 11 came from, who we are, how we're different. And if anyone ever wants to learn more, please let Chris or I know. And I'm sorry for going over.
No, that's perfect. Thank you very much, Rose. It was interesting to know about where the company idea came from and who is behind it. Very interesting. And
if you don't mind, Roberto, can I just say the very last quote on the last slide was, a 10 is doing something perfectly, but an 11 is going one beyond that. And that's why we're called the 11 experience, because we're not a 10, we're an 11. We take it that much further. So thank you so much. It was a pleasure to speak with you all.
Thank you, Rose. Thank you very much. Marcelo.
Okay, thank you, Rose.